Hello, I'm back. Got another video here for you. Trying to keep this one short, sweet and on point. The information here in this video will be helpful for people facing foreclosure, loan, and other defaults. Hard financial times out there right now for some people, a lot of people. If you have not done so, watch our reclaiming dominion over your ownership of property videos that we have on YouTube. You find them in the playlist Blocked from Owning Property. They will give you context in relation to what I'm going to share in this presentation. The title for this video is Refuse Claims for Cause, Foreclosure and Defaults. Could be mistake with respect to the identity of the debtor. You'd want to be sure that all necessary parties are joined, those affiliated with the registration of births, so the court can adjudicate effectively and completely regarding the identity of the debtor should that be a matter in dispute. Could be any number of matters that are subject of dispute. That's just one of them, and that's one I like. You can argue all day long. You can banter back and forth all day long, but would it not be better to join the experts, those with the knowledge, they who did it, those who are affiliated? All legal business and contracts done in the birth certificate name, which is a proprietary identity of His Majesty, John Paul Smith, is done in name of and for His Majesty the King, owner of the birth certificate foundation identity document, also known as reader document. Whoever made it, owns it, rules over it. And all you need to know, you didn't make it, you don't own it, you don't rule over it. You do not own property in Canada or whatever country you're at, nor do you own debt. You are not and cannot possibly be the owner or debtor. The rules I will reference in this video are used to demonstrate that the lawyers and others are not complying with their own court rules. The purpose of this video is to enlighten you to these rules, as they are binding on them, and how you can use the rules to refuse claims for cause. The cause being failure to join the necessary parties to the claim. The rules I will speak of in this video are Rule 5031, Provincial Province of Ontario Rules of Civil Procedure, and Rules 10312, excuse me, and 10141A and B of the Federal Court Rules of Canada. Every province and state has its own court rules, as do federal governments. You have to locate those rules with respect to the joinder of the necessary parties. The wording may be different, but it's talking about joinder of necessary parties along that line. Saskatchewan has the same thing, that it's conveying this exact same message, but they phrase it differently, but it's saying the same thing, joinder of necessary parties, or required parties, something like that. If you receive a claim, you can refuse and return it for cause if the party making the claim, the law firm, bank, lender, government, IRS, CRA, ITO, whoever, whatever, has not named the parties with an affiliation, has not joined them to the claim, any claim. Once you have done that, chances are you will not hear from them again, provided you indicate clearly why it is those parties, or more or less parties, must be joined. I say more or less because you're looking at the birth certificate on the screen there. I'll get more into that later here, but you can identify parties with an affiliation on that document right there, not to mention the registration of live birth. Yeah, so I'll just do that again. Once you've done that, chances are you will not hear from them again, provided you indicate clearly why it is those parties, or more or less parties, must be joined. There are hints in this video. By doing this, you've given the lawyer slash claimant cause to rethink its course of action. He can either add the other parties to the claim or come back to you with some sort of rebuttal. And once again, you will refuse and return it for the same cause. The cause being his failure to comply with the rules he is bound to comply with. That's what this is about, right? Clearly, there's an affiliation, so let's get at it. Joinder of necessary parties, General Rule 5031, Every person, says person, remember you're men and women here, that's another thing. Hint, every person whose presence is necessary to enable the court to adjudicate effectively and completely on the issues in a proceeding shall be joined as a party to the proceeding. That's a command there, shall be joined. Look at the birth certificate you have. It is not your certificate. You did not make it. You are not a person. You haven't hold a certificate. So stop saying my birth certificate. It's not your birth certificate. It's the king's birth certificate. Registrar General seal indicates an affiliation with His Majesty the King of Right of Ontario, and we have that in writing from the Office of the Registrar General. So too does the signature of the Registrar General on the birth certificate, as does the signature of the Deputy Registrar General on the birth certificate, as does the signature of the Lieutenant Governor, Governor or Governor General, who signs the bills into law to give them legal effect. They all do what they do in the name of and for the King. They all have an affiliation, every single solitary one of them. Affiliation, a social or business relationship, the act of becoming formally connected or joined. I'm going to stop this again, screen sharing, go back to the other one. All right, this is I've shown this before somewhere along the way, but this is an Ontario, Canada birth certificate. You see at the top, it's got Ontario, Canada. They're parties. Here you see the seal of the Registrar General seal. This indicates an affiliation with the King. That's kind of like the King's signature. And then normally down here in a proper certificate, you have the signature of the Registrar General and the Deputy Registrar General down here. So their signatures. So there's affiliation here, this signature, this party. You got those two parties. You got the King, Ontario, Canada. That's just by looking at this document. They all have an affiliation. They should all be parties to the claim. Let's go back to this document here. So that's the key, is establishing affiliation. Each of those persons I mentioned ought to be joined as party in any legal matter involving Smith, John, Paul, or John, Paul, Smith, whatever they got on the document there, because all those names that they're going to have in their court claims out there that's out in the public come from that birth certificate breeder document. They did it. They caused the registration of births, the issue of certificates, and put the signatures on there. Clearly, there's an affiliation. Black's Law 4th edition regarding the term registrant, one who registers, particularly one who registers anything. They give an example of a trademark for the purpose of securing a right or privilege granted by law on condition of such registration. Now, you didn't do the registration. You're not a party. You didn't do it. They did it. And they didn't do anything for your benefit, for your a right or your privilege. No. So they have the knowledge. They did it. They secured a right or privilege for and on behalf of the province. It is not your business, and therefore the King, the Registrar, Deputy Registrar, and the Lieutenant Governor ought to be joined to claims as parties so the court can adjudicate effectively and completely on matters in dispute. They are far more affiliated than you or I. So there you have it, people. All those parties, look on your birth certificate, your registration of live birth, whatever it is, that's the founding document, right? You're going to work from that, and that's basically the birth certificate that took the name public. So that's really all you need to work on from here, because that's what was used to. The breeder document is required to get driver's license, open bank accounts, passports, photo cards, health cards, SSN, SIN, all that sort of stuff. So that's the breeder document. So once you connect it back to the birth certificate, everything founded on that, it's all connected back to the birth certificate, because quite frankly, what's the King's is the King's. It doesn't become yours anywhere along the way. So anyhow, this is how you can refuse and return claims for cause. And I'm going to stop there. And remember to visit our blog, www.restorethekingdomofgod.blogspot.com. If you want to make contact with us, there's a contact button at the bottom down there. Love you. God bless. Light of God never fails. And we're done here. We're out of here.